to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Hi. Please have a chair. Do
Thank
you have
you.
a resume for us?
I do.
Okay.
For each of you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. There you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Olivia, could you tell us a little bit about why you're applying for this teaching position with the master's degree?
Yeah, to be honest with you, when I first heard about it, I wasn't like immediately drawn to it because of the location. China's never been something that pulled me in immediately, but I started researching it and looking at everything on the website, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Just the whole idea of a whole cultural immersion, living in another country for at least a year, studying international development is the one that I was most interested in, and doing that in another country where they're already doing that kind of work. And then also I've had experience teaching Chinese students English and doing kind of like English camps and cultural immersion programs, and I loved it. So everything about it just really stuck out to me, and yeah, I would love to have this.
Where have you done the teaching of in
Students?
Yeah, Chinese.
I've done it for 3 years. We brought them to actually my hometown. They came for 3 weeks and actually lived in my home. Like I had students live in my home, and we put them in host homes and stuff like that.
Okay.
So kind of the opposite of what I would be doing.
Right. You brought them
Let's talk about the teaching a little bit. What did you like most about teaching TESOL?
Yeah, I would have to say I actually worked with different teachers every year, and like a certified English teacher, and then I was an assistant and helped them with just different games and stuff like that. And I'd have to say that it was always interesting seeing the different groups of students. We had different age groups, and the teachers all had very different styles, but like, for example, one year we put the kids around a round table, and just seeing the difference of classroom setting for them coming from China to America and being immersed in different ways of learning. We were a lot more interactive than they are in some of their programs in China, and so just seeing kind of their, like, kind of unsure about, whoa, this is a very different experience, but then by the end of 3 weeks, having just had a really great time learning about our culture, but teaching us about their culture, like, it doesn't necessarily work to put them around round tables to learn because they get distracted and stuff like that. So everything from teaching them concepts of English and seeing their English actually improve to seeing just how they're transformed by learning about another culture, and building relationships with the volunteers and the teachers and stuff like that. So.
What do you think your strength is as a teacher?
I'd have to say probably knowing that different students learn at different rates and different styles even, and that you can't assume that, okay, I've created this curriculum and this is how we're going to go with the day, and then the ones who don't get it kind of leave them by the wayside in a way. So making sure that I try to at least notice, okay, what students are failing or who isn't getting it quite, and how can we change it around. And being flexible, I think, with international teaching positions and working with people from other cultures, knowing that the way that you try or plan it to be might not work out, and so you've got to fix it and change it up. And also getting input from the students and the Chinese teachers who came with them. What do you think about this style? And is this being effective? Are they learning from it? So just being flexible and being willing to learn at the same time as teaching. So, yeah.
Your undergrad education was in intercultural studies. How would you say that education has prepared you for this opportunity? And you could give me at least one example of how it has prepared you.
Oh boy. I mean, we've had a range of classes, from one called cross-cultural adjustment, where we actually stayed in Chinatown for 2 nights at a Chinese church, and one day we just sat for like 5 hours in a park and watched the people around us. So you have that kind of hands-on experience through the program, and then also classes where there's heavy book reading on issues like international development, and where has things like development or humanitarian aid failed or gone wrong in different situations. So there's a lot of practical experience, and then there's a lot of book learning, and which I think would apply to this, and you know, living and trying to immerse yourself in the culture, and then also having to study for your master's and being willing to put in that academic work as well.
In your experience overseas that you've already done, you have you spent some time in Cambodia, some time in Gabon. What would be the one thing you learned in those overseas experiences that will prepare you now for going overseas again? What was the one big takeaway from those in going across cultures?
Yeah. I think there's, at least for me personally, I don't know if it's this way for everyone, but there's a certain element of being uncomfortable and being the minority, something we don't experience very often. And in both places, being a woman and being white and American, that was something, a hurdle that I had to overcome. And I'm not going to say that I completely mastered the art of being an expat in these places, but just realizing that it's okay to be different. You know, I walked down the road and I am an American, and there's going to just be either backlash or interest because of that, and just learning how to be who I am, where I am, and offer, you know, if you want to learn about my culture, I'll tell you about it, and not being so uncomfortable with being different from everyone else and having people stare at you. And I'd say that's a big one that definitely hits right away with every place I've been. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's true.
All right. We have time probably for a question from
One
you.
question, yes.
One
It's
question.
almost like, do you have a question for us?
Okay, I had two, but I'll just ask one.
Okay.
I guess, I don't know which one is more fun. Okay, so I noticed that with the college or the University of Concordia, it has a Lutheran background, and I noticed some of the stuff on the website not related to this program, that there's kind of an emphasis on that spiritual heritage. Is that at all translated into this program, or how is the spiritual background of Concordia integrated into this program, or is it at all through the faculty or relationships with the Chinese universities?
Well, Concordia, this type of program fits Concordia pretty well. To send other people to other cultures who are Christians. As Lutherans, you know, the idea of education is really just part of who they are.
Yeah.
And so you'd be surrounded by people in terms of your professors who have like-mindedness.
Yeah.
And then you'll see those kinds of things in the program. As you go through, the focuses will be to kind of integrate your faith in acting it out in an international setting.
Gotcha.
So,
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Well, we appreciate getting to know you today and for you taking the time to come in.
Well, thank you for your time as well.
Getting to know you.
You
Thank
as
for
well.
coming.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.